How you doing, everybody? And welcome to the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast review of WWE Smackdown for July 21st. Finally, a good Smackdown. We've been waiting weeks and possibly months for this one. For this review, I'm here with Mikey, the head of Vibe Tribe, and all the fun things we do here. Hi, Mikey.
Hi.
We have two teachers, so we're going to try not to teach you anything. We're going to try and just be wrestling fans and talk and not grade things too harshly. Because it's the summer and they're not paying us anymore.
Nah, this is wrestling. You have to grade things harshly.
We have to. I'm learning that. The more we do this, the more I'm reading things and checking out stuff. Like, wow, you can't be in the middle. You have to love it or hate it. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, oh, okay. Simon Miller's feeling that pressure. Even Simon was like, but I kind of liked it. And people in the comments are always like, no, love it or hate it. Wow, calm down. It's just wrestling. Okay. Humans. So Mikey doesn't always watch SmackDown. Mikey reviews, 100 other things. But you've joined me on the SmackDown review a handful of times. This was a good one before we get into the rest of it. Like, the last few weeks, Minnie and I have been kind of dejected and like, okay, this thing, that thing. There's some great stuff in this one.
For sure. I think the last couple of weeks have been at best, maybe, is the best way to put it. I mean, it isn't absolutely horrible, but, when you focus all your energy on one storyline, everything else kinds of flounders a little bit. But it seems that this one, the main SmackDown storyline didn't really overstay its welcome this week, which I was surprised.
We had a few hints. We had one big bit. We're done. We left them wanting more. I was almost interested in the Bloodline again. I was almost ready. We'll talk about that when we get there, but they keep hinting at things that want to happen. And if they don't do it, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. Anyway, we started out with the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Sheamus, Rey Mysterio Jr., LA Knight, of course, and, oh my god, I'm already messing this up.
Cameron Grimes.
Cameron Grimes. Yeah, that's right, Cameron. I forgot Cameron Grimes. I know Cameron Grimes was an NXT staple for a long time. I'm sort of lukewarm on Cameron Grimes. Totally fell out of my brain. But broadly, talking about the match in a broad terms at the top, sells great, good match. I had fun with this. This is a question I had for you. Do you think the LA Knight promo at the top was planned? Or do you think that was like a CM Punk, give me the mic, I'm going to say something thing?
That's an excellent question. I think that there may have been some sort of planned start from it. I think so. I mean, like you said, this match was a lot of fun. I do have a lot of questions with the ending because of who won.
All sorts of the questions, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And,
so,
yeah, go ahead.
Before we even start this, LA Knight comes out with the mic, even though everyone's already in the ring, and then starts calling shots. The audience is all over him. He's still over. He's still huge. What was interesting is Michael Cole and Wade Barrett trying to play this dance of, are you the heel? Are you over? Are you this? Which is really weird that both of them agree on LA Knight, but they agree in different ways. It kind of creates its own kind of narrative moving forward. It's a little contradictory, but I'm here for it.
No, and I mean, LA Knight is so over with the fan base, it's ridiculous. Which kind of surprised me as he didn't win. I thought they were going to let LA win.
And we've been talking for weeks. If LA Knight loses, we riot. And the way this ended, I didn't want to riot, but I had more questions than anything. A lot of great spots in this match. In this match, you wrestle on the mat. You have a match on the mat. Cameron Grimes, like I said, can sell great. Just as a character, though, and some of the promos of the last few weeks, I've just been sort of meh about him. I'm not sure that the WWE knows how to use Cameron Grimes because he's too facey for heel, and he's not heely enough for face. Like, he's right in that thing of, who are you?
Well,
they're giving him a shot. They're giving him reps, and he can hold his own in there. It's nothing against him, but I'm lukewarm on, who are you?
Well, it doesn't help that he was in a feud with Baron Corbin, and then all of a sudden they shipped Baron to NXT. I was like, okay, well, there goes that storyline.
Yeah. And if it's a victim of storyline stuff, I believe that too. Um, but as we see the wrestlers that sort of cream rise to the top, the ones like LA Knight were sort of like, I don't know what to do. Fine, I'm going to make my own space. And then you do. So kind of want to see a little bit more of that. There was some great spots in here. There was some great exchanges in here. Whatever that weird cluster bleep of man meat on the turnbuckle, all four of them flying to the ground was really impressive.
There's always got to be like some sort of Tower of Doom spot.
Some Tower of Doom spot now. Like that's always showing up. Sheamus saved that Tower of Doom and a few other spots that got missed just on brute strength. If you go back and watch. Oh, you missed. Let me just hold you up and wait for it. Oh, okay. Now you're here and in position. One of the climax. There's a few climax moments in this thing. Multiple climaxes. That joke writes itself. Where we get this sort of Rey Mysterio throwing Cameron Grimes into the chair, and then Austin Theory says, "You did that on purpose. Watch your mouth. What do you think you're doing?" And then eventually Rey Mysterio goes to get the pin, and then Austin Theory interferes and pulls Rey Mysterio out, and there's words exchanged, and then Santos Escobar shows up out of nowhere, jumps off the steps, hits the Austin Theory, chases Austin Theory out of the ring, which was sort of unexpected to me. I did not hate it. I went, why is that happening? And then we discover why that's happening a little bit later. Anything else you want to touch on in the middle of this match? There's a lot of great spots in here.
I mean, this was a great match. I think this Fatal 4-Way Invitational was was the better of the two, because last week's wasn't bad, but I really enjoyed this one a little bit more. I think it had everything. All four men in this match are very athletic, especially when you have Ray in there who's been doing this forever. So Sheamus with brute strength.
I love seeing Ray and Sheamus. Let's get the two exact opposites. Not Omos, but like let's get the two right here, and let's just see them throw a little bit. Okay, that was cool. There's some great feats of strength from LA Knight in the middle of there. Cameron Grimes got hops off the top rope, does that missile dropkick in the middle of there, which they named it something else. What he called it Michael Cole called it something else. I just thought it was a missile dropkick. I don't know. I thought this was really clean. It was a great way to open. Normally, I'm not a fan of these big ones opening. I kind of wish they saved them. But if you're going to start with it, this is a great way to start it. Everyone kind of hits a finisher. There's a whole bunch of things that happen in there. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Rey Mysterio rolls up Cameron Grimes and gets the pin, which almost looked accidental. It was like, was that supposed to happen? This match ran about 12 or 13 minutes or so, according to my DVR and my clock. And either Ray is selling really well or Ray kind of sort of got hurt. I can't tell.
Yeah, well, to backtrack a little bit, the fact that Ray won, I was just like, okay, I'm not mad at it, but...
We can talk about it. Yeah, I think that's a really strange angle to have Santos and Ray be the two. Normally, how do I say this? And you'll understand this better. Maybe you can be more articulate. The WWE has never done honor and loyalty well.
Mm-mm.
It's always been, always a revenge, always a betrayal.
Lie, cheat, and steal.
always a dishonor thing. So the fact that out of nowhere we have this master student mentor match with respect, where it seems like they both might enter the ring respectfully as being a part of the same faction and have known each other their whole careers, and Santos being the son that Ray should have had. Like, there's this weird, where this has never worked. And if you're going to bait and switch me again, I'm just going to roll my eyes and go, yeah, okay, of course you took the easy way out, right?
Well, there's a lot of questions that got raised due to the result of this match. I'm not mad that we're going to get Santos versus Ray next week, because that's going to be a phenomenal match. But my question is that... So LA Knight, as of right now, is not heading to SummerSlam, which is... You already messed up with him not being somewhere on the WrestleMania card.
Uh-huh.
And according to reports, and this goes back to what you were saying, that WWE hasn't done honor and loyalty very, very well, especially when it comes to Latin wrestlers in general. According to Fightful, WWE wants to push Santos so that way they can have a babyface Latin champion, which I'm all here for. There's one problem with this whole entire thing. I think Santos will beat Austin Theory at SummerSlam, but here's the problem with this whole entire build-up. LWO as a faction has lost almost every single match they have been involved in since their debut on the main roster. But all of a sudden, you have Santos become number one contender, because I will, if Ray wins next week and is number one contender against Austin Theory, I'm going to look at it a little puzzled as to why. Don't get me wrong, I love Ray, but makes no sense, but yeah.
They're going to do the bait and switch thing I'm talking about. Ray wins but is hurt and tells Santos to go in my stead or some sort of thing. Right? They're going to complicate it needlessly, right? It's not going to work out the way it should. But anyway, you were saying.
Right, and I'm just like, I get WWE doesn't like it when wrestlers organically get over without them being the sole reason why they get older. And it sucks because I feel like LA Knight's getting punished because just him as a charismatic person, he just...
If anything, that fuels the audience more. The audience is there and like demanding it more. Like, no, we see you burying him. We see you just throwing him into these mid-card spots we don't like. If you were a fan of LA Knight after the Gatorade match, you're a fan of LA Knight now. Like,
I know, the fact that he's only had one pay-per-view match this year is ridiculous to me.
And I do think there's a little bit of this, I don't know, they're trying to humble him. It's like, hey, you got over without us, but we're still in charge thing. And I don't think that's Triple H. That's obviously Vince McMahon. But I don't know if like we talked about, like he is a bit older. I mean, he's 40-ish, right? He's been around a long time. So you're not going to get 20 years of merchandise, maybe. But if he's the hot hand, play the hot hand. Like, what's going on?
I don't know, but ultimately this match was a lot of fun. As of right now, I'm kind of disappointed because it doesn't seem like, I don't know if their LA Knight's going to be on the SummerSlam card, and that pay-per-view is in 3 weeks. I have questions about Ray versus Santos, but I don't know. I think some schmoz is going to happen because we go to... Which, by the way, it took me a second. It didn't click until upon rewatching it. I was like, why are there so many NXT kids randomly backstage in the audience? Then I'm like, oh, wait, they're in... And then I was like, okay, never mind. They're in Orlando. And I'm just... But... See, I wasn't here to review NXT, but, like... I think Tuesday my soul got crushed when I learned that Dominic Mysterio is your NXT North American champion. And I'm disappointed, but that's for another show. But yeah, I was just like, this is crazy. Because after that match, we
can talk about it here. It's coming up in a little bit. So you can't talk about it.
Oh, Lord help us. I know. So, like, after that match, we go to a commercial, we come back, and then we just see Jay walking backstage, and we see some of the NXT kids, Tony D'Angelo and Stax, as well as the Creed brothers. And then the most weirdest thing is set for next week. Theory goes and complains to Adam Pearce that he wants a match against Santos for the interference and what he did. Pearce says sure, but it's going to be for the United States Championship match. And I'm like...
How cool would that have been? So there's a part of me that was like, no, you can't do a title thing. But the more I think about it, what if that was a title match? And then what if Santos wins it and then has to fight Ray for the title and the thing, and Austin Theory is all of a sudden you have this weird... Why did we even have this tournament? I get it. But Austin Theory shoots himself in the foot. But I agree. And we'll get there when we get there. But I also think if that match had been a clunker or a squash, then squash. I can't say it. Squash.
Adolfo has infected us.
I can't do it. If that had been a squash match, then I would have not been interested. But that match was one at the top of the evening. It was very, very good. Promos were solid, probably because there were less. But that was an interesting twist. I agree with you.
So we'll see. Who knows? I will be shocked if Santos wins that title next week. And then I'm just like, okay, so then Ray versus Santos at SummerSlam. Do we insert? I'm just looking for a way for LA Knight to be inserted at some point.
I wonder, they'll probably shoehorn something in there. They'll probably, I wonder if it's, if this is still come up for that Gatorade Blacklight match where it's still like that was trash. You guys botched it. I don't trust you with another spot. Which, granted, the problem with that match was not LA Knight. There were lots of various problems with that match. And we haven't really seen Bray Wyatt since, but anyway.
No, yeah.
So, I agree.
So, title match for the U.S. title next week. We get a video package for Brock versus Cody.
So, I'm not watching Raw for various reasons. What the hell is going on?
Where?
Brock's still attacking Cody for no reason.
Where do I even start?
I mean, if it's gonna make this video 3 hours long, we could talk about it off the air. But like,
I'll just give you no, yeah.
both blonde and angry, or
No, this is why exactly this feud is happening, because WWE didn't want to pull the trigger and have Cody take the titles off of Roman at WrestleMania to complete the story. And so this is just a roundabout feud because as of right now, according to reports, they're looking to get Cody a rematch at WrestleMania 40, which I'm like, okay, fine. But I feel like Cody could be involved in better feuds than this one. But hopefully, since this is the third match and it has been confirmed that Cody versus Brock is happening at SummerSlam, here's hoping that this is the blow-off match and we don't have to see these two fight again. I'm just like...
So, Roman Reigns keep the title for another 10 months?
Of course, WWE loves their records.
I know, I just hate it.
Oh, I don't like it either. I'm just being sarcastic.
Why am I watching J Roman when I know what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that because I have a few thoughts when we get to the end of this because they built that up really well, but I wonder what it's gonna be.
Alpha Academy is the best thing on Raw. I will claim that right now. Fight me.
Y'all talk about that on the group text, and that's what makes me want to watch, is because I like that.
If you're going to watch one match from this past Monday Night Raw, you need to watch that Viking rules match that actually slapped.
Great. So after all these things happen, we go here, we go there, right? They agree to the match. Okay, so this is great. Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, Bayley at the ring table. This match was great. I really liked it.
And it was refreshing because I don't remember seeing Charlotte or Io face each other before, so I'm just like...
I've never seen them face each other. I haven't seen Charlotte Flair be this physical in a long time. I know she was injured for a handful of matches. Io Sky's all over the place. They had some great spots in here. They got a full 11 minutes. Hey! I haven't seen a women's match get a full 10 or 12 in a long time.
Right.
I haven't. And if you listen to the 8-year review from just last week, I was very upset about that because we had a 66-second match for none reason. I digress. I thought this was great. Cartwheels and round-offs aside, because, those are still cool, but lots of great selling. There was only 1 or 2 spots in here that I thought they kind of missed or could have done a little better. Sadly, and I don't mean this in a slight, and I'm sure she could put me through a table, Bayley improvising on the microphone, not nearly as strong as Wade and Michael Cole. She couldn't really hold her own there as we were talking about riffs and histories and whatnot. She kind of reverted to, shut up, Michael Cole. You're an idiot, Michael Cole, quite a bit. And at one point confused Michael Cole with Wade Barrett, and no one was sure who she was talking to for about 30, 40 seconds. So that got a little awkward. But a great match. Anything you stand out to you about that before I talk about my favorite part?
I think I know what your favorite part is, but I just want to applaud this match because, oh my gosh, we got a match and we're furthering a secondary women's storyline that doesn't involve the title. I am shocked.
I'm very much shocked. This sounds like a Triple H. This sounds like Stephanie went to Triple H and said, hey, you know what you should think about? Like, hey, this is going to work. I thought that was awesome.
The match was awesome. This was fun, but let's talk about why we're really here.
The reason we're really here is because the whole time Bayley at the announcer table, Michael Cole keeps trying to slip it in there and say, hey, Shotzi scared you. No, she didn't. We're not here to talk about Shotzi. We're here to talk about Io Sky. we are Money in the Bank. There's no we in Money in the Bank. Only one of you gets the shot. Hey, we work together. Michael calls. So they keep bantering a little bit. They bring up Shotzi a handful of times. Bailey goes to interfere, tries to get involved. Charlotte Flair's unhappy. And then we get the dreaded promo where Shotzi is seen laughing at the camera, calling out Bailey. Just, like a horror movie. Bailey, Bailey. Like you would. Laughing, snipping scissors. Bailey kind of overreacts a little. I'm not going to acting coach right now.
Do it.
Probably needed to watch the promo instead of look at the audience and then look at the promo and then look at the audience and then look at the promo. Like, should have been terrified first, not afterwards. My opinion. Shotzi does that cool. I'm watching you. Scissors, snip and snip thing. Bailey's out. And just straight up runs away. Which, okay. I called this last week too. I think Shotzi should just appear in different spots in the arena. Old school 1999 Sting stuff. But if they're going to do it like this, I don't hate it. It's okay. It's in Shotzi's wheelhouse because finally we get to see Shotzi punch and use in Shotzi promos. And I love Tank Shotzi, but maybe we put that aside for a while to have serial killer Shotzi.
I want Halloween Havoc Shotzi.
I would love Halloween Havoc Shotzi. That would be cool too. But to actually get some psychology and story under Shotzi, it seems like Shotzi's going to get actually pushed for a while. Maybe Shotzi gets a finisher, which should be a kid's book. Shotzi gets a finisher. I was really excited about that. And what was great is that wasn't the end. There was another 4 minutes of the match that went on after that. It wasn't just...
This match went on through a commercial break. It was crazy.
Women's matches don't do that. They bookend the commercials. This was... I was really happy to see that.
I mean, ultimately, Charlotte gets the pinfall here, but then the post-match happened. Asuka doesn't just waste no time. She just gets in and starts immediately tearing into Flair with the cross armbar. I was like, yes.
Why is Asuka dressed like a suburban mom?
I know.
Is that Asuka's thing now? It's just...
I mean, she is a woman of a certain age, but yeah, I'm just like, Asuka...
Mikey, she's 40.
I mean...
But she's dressed like old school suburban mom.
Yes.
Mom jeans, target blouse.
See, the difference is don't let the look fool you, because she will kill you, as we saw with Charlotte.
She'll still murder you. Like, she's still here for death. Like, she's not here to play. And this is just my take, and I'm sure the internet will come for us if anyone wants to. Like, when Asuka's look, when she is intense and brooding and pure face, really works for me. When she is this sort of heel clown suburban mom, it comes off clowny to me. It doesn't come off the same. It comes off a little like angry children's birthday party, as opposed to dramatic. I brought this face paint out. It gives me power, and it looked a little, Ronald McDonald the other night. It looked a little like, you ordered a Happy Meal, and then just armbarring you for a while. Like, it wasn't quite the same.
Oh, that was great. No, yeah, it's weird. I know. I'm like, Asuka, I know you have the night off, but yeah, she just wants to be comfortable, and I can't fault her for that. But I mean, this further extends because we also got confirmation, triple threat for Asuka's title between her, Bianca, and Charlotte. Which, by the way, no Bianca tonight in any shape or form, which was weird. Not even a promo, not even a backstage segment. Like, I get it, but all right.
And isn't she's Atlanta, right? She's from Georgia? Or am I crazy?
No, Bianca is, I want to say she's either from Kansas City or Oklahoma, one of the two.
Oh, she is. Okay, never mind. I'm trying to remember. Okay, my fault.
Cody's from Georgia. That was the big thing they kept drilling into my head.
Yeah. I mean, every time they go to the South, and anytime they go to the SEC conference, there's always this homecoming of everybody's coming home thing.
Which they kind of did with the NXT kids tonight. Speaking of NXT, they recapped Dominic Mysterio winning the North American Championship.
So I was...
Why?
bad podcasting. When we were group texting about this, and it was the spoiler of, oh my god, this just happened in NXT, all of us rolled our eyes and went, but why? That doesn't... okay, so even watching the recap, watching how it happened in the recap, again, we've built Dom into this heel. We don't like him. His dad's a Hall of Famer. He calls his dad a deadbeat. We're 3 years into this story. Now it's just kind of, it's a little goofy, where it's just, fine, I'm going to go steal from those other kids and then get the title. And
Shoot.
the only thing the NXT kids are kind of fighting for, to a degree.
Shoot, just give the title to Rhea. At least I mean, I feel like Rhea could do more with the North American Championship than she is with her own Women's Championship.
She's not doing anything with the Women's Championship.
That's the whole point.
And we've talked about that, like, they don't know what to do with storylines and plot lines and who's listening for what.
What Becky Lynch told her, like, weeks ago in that promo is sadly, but firmly becoming more and more true. Rhea is just a main event side piece and not the main event. Which, I'm upset.
Say the same thing about Roman for the last 2 years. Like, if you have it, defend it.
Yeah, I mean, according to a report, it's been like 100 or something days since Roman defended the title. I'm like, when was the last time he defended the titles? And then I'm like, oh crap, that was all the way back at WrestleMania.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And sadly, and this is my soapbox, and I apologize for anyone who's not interested in this soapbox, the WWE doing this, other fight promotions like the UFC are taking their cue from it, and it's sort of leading into real sports, not sports entertainment, but as the two get this more gray area, you have fighters who don't defend the title because they don't have to, because they already have it. And then 2 years later, they still have their sponsorships or whatever. They become a brand of their own thing, and then too much is at stake for you to fight for it or to put it up. And now, where do you go? And that's where we get these weird, year-long, 2-long, 3-year-long things in UFC and MMA, which makes it hard to watch, even boxing to a degree. But the days of, Mike Tyson defending his title 5 times in a year, and other boxers that used to do stuff like that in the 70s and 80s, even the early 90s, that's all gone. And you could argue that's a cue from WWE, because they make money. The longer that person has the championship, we can do more. And you, like you said earlier, you're afraid to pull the trigger because that becomes your cash cow. And now you've given a title to Dom for your development league, where he's not developing, or he might need to. There's a few things he needs work on, sure. But now, what are you going to do?
Well, yeah.
Decision to me. Such a strange decision.
This was a strange decision because there's a lot of things in play that I was mad that Dom won, because I was just like, Wesley has had one of the best NXT North American Championship runs since winning the title. Most defenses, classic matches, the Fatal 5-Way at Stand and Deliver is still probably my match of the year so far. And the other thing that people aren't talking about too is that Wesley versus Mustafa Ali was already set for that North American Championship match at the Great American Bash next week. So now that so they haven't addressed this yet. So does that mean So obviously I'm gonna have to watch NXT to see how we rectify the situation. But is it Dominic versus Mustafa Ali? Is that match like no longer on the table? Like, it makes no sense.
I have a question, and you can answer this for me, because this is where, again, I'm talking sports entertainment and pro wrestling. NXT is not like baseball or the G League and NBA, where like it's a development league and it's a demotion almost to send you back down or to work on stuff. NXT is its own in-house promotion. You are a professional. There's just some things that you're working on, and we're waiting to give you a shot to move up. It's not like you're lesser. You are your own thing, and you're working. You have a different schedule. You're in one town. Like, it's just set up differently. Why did Mustafa Ali get sent back to NXT?
Well, so this is going to be a really stupid reason, but so Mustafa, during the draft, he was one of the people that is a free agent, so he can go with whatever. And honestly, I was okay with Ali going to NXT because, one, he's never been to NXT, and I would rather have Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg and the crew in NXT use Mustafa Ali the way he's supposed to, because main roster apparently can't do anything with that.
Sure.
But in this whole situation with Dominic getting the title, I'm upset because we're getting robbed of Wesley versus Mustafa Ali, two guys that can go. Mustafa Ali had no say in this, so I'm just like, this is not... My man can't catch a break. But continuing on with the show, the reason we're talking about this is because Dominic gets interviewed with Rhea Ripley on the side. Dominic says he came to SmackDown to show his deadbeat dad, which we're still rolling with this storyline or whatever. Okay, I guess whatever. What a real champion looks like, and to point out that it's the champion of all North America, which outranks the United States champion. Sir, that is an NXT title. Like, I need you to cool it, but like, no shade, but I'm like, Vince keeps saying NXT is developmental, but you have it, so what is that? Anyways, then all of a sudden, my homie Pete Dunne, or Butch, I'm still calling him Pete Dunne. I hate Butch. But he comes up to challenge Dominic for the title all of a sudden. Dominic says that he's not ready for this match. He doesn't have his gear. He's not dressed. The title's not polished. And more importantly, there's nobody from NXT. The moment he said this, I was like, here we go. There's nobody from NXT here to make the match official, but who should walk into frame but the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and says he thinks that's a great idea, and he goes off to talk to Adam Pearce about making it official, which it does get made official for tonight. So North America, it's so weird seeing an NXT title being defended on main roster, but Pete Dunne versus Dominic Mysterio for the title. Cool.
I'm still sad to see Sean. Sean's not interested in promos. He's not interested in being on camera. He's interested in working behind the scenes and being involved in other stuff. At one point, it seemed like he forgot the name of Adam Pearce. He forgot the name of what was going on. He forgot all of it. Like, he just walked in and went, "We're shooting this. Great. You know what and like, was not nearly as smooth or as prepped as he could have been in this segment.
Well, the funny thing is, in NXT, he is the behind-the-scenes guy. He doesn't like to be on camera, and I like it better that way because he does amazing work backstage.
He does. And I just get that impression now, and that's no slight against Shawn Michaels. It's just sort of, he doesn't want to be on camera. He's obviously uncomfortable.
Shawn Michaels is tired of Vince's shit.
I mean, I think that could be it, too. He's tired of Vince's crap. He's tired of all of that stuff.
Well, think about it. Like, the NXT roster got gutted during the draft.
Oh, yeah. So I think it's a host of those things. And again, I mean, I'll walk back a little bit. I'm not talking shit about Shawn. It's just obvious that Shawn doesn't want to do this. Let me run these wrestlers. Let me get these storylines going. Let me build this promotion thing going here. My time in front of the camera is done. I think Shawn might even have a sense of, I overstayed and I know it. So now I really have to pass this on to other folks. It doesn't need to be about me anymore. Because then the spot, like we're talking, what did it become about? It became about, look, Shawn Michaels is here. It wasn't the challenge and actual moving forward with the story. It was, Shawn's here to talk to Adam. So I think that might be some of Shawn's motivation, dare I say. Like, just a little bit of that. Why? No, I don't want to be a part of this. He puts up a good front, and he puts up a good face, and he does the thing, but...
I have to get used to Judgment Day on my NXT screen because report is that I'm going to be seeing more of them across all three brands, though they're supposed to specifically be on Raw, but, you know.
Which is so confusing. Like, why have the draft?
The draft, I mean, I agreed with JVL when he mentioned it, but, like, this draft means nothing because WWE doesn't follow their own rules, but whatever.
If you're going to do it, we talked about the draft too much. The draft, and now it's just screwed you up for 5 months. And so now, like, what are we even doing? Right.
So, yep, after this, Bloodline are in the dressing room, like, this moment, whatever. I'll wait until we get to the actual segment to talk about the Bloodline. Then we enter our next... Well, then Austin Theory makes his entrance, but then when we come back from commercial, Bayley and Io are arguing in the locker room. And then Bayley, one of my favorite Ultimate Horror tropes, Bayley finds her bag stabbed with scissors through an 8x10 of Bayley. I'm just like, yes, I love this. I was like, subtle storytelling. I love this.
It'll be great. You're never rooting for murder, but if you're a horror fan...
You are rooting for murder.
You're rooting for murder.
Every good slasher flick is you're low-key rooting for some murder.
I'm excited. I mean, if Shotzi can play this out till Halloween, and then the month of October is just all hell breaks loose.
Yes. So next we get Austin Theory versus Santos. This is not a championship match. This was also the match I had lots of questions with the ending, because what does the implication mean that, you know, The match,
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
so we can talk about this. So Santos Escobar wins. This is a great match. They get full time. Santos has some great spots in here. I love him whistling, jumping off the top turnbuckle like a firecracker. That's amazing.
That's such a luchador thing to do. I love it.
Cool luchador thing. Like, lots of great stuff. Austin Theory sells the hell out of everything.
That avalanche, Frankensteiner, off the top rope was a thing of beauty.
So, awesome stuff. Let's cut to the chase with this. Austin Theory eats the pin as the champion.
Cleanly, may I add.
Beautiful, like, wow, you beat me, but keeps the title. What is, like you said, what does that mean? Are we trying to build some kind of friction going into Rey Santos? Are we just trying to get Austin Theory doing something more than just sitting in the chair all the time, which is kind of where my head was?
I have a horrible thought just occurred to me, and I don't want it to happen, but I can see it happening.
Oh, no.
So the fact that Santos won clean next week when we get Rey versus Santos, I think Theory finds his way to DQ that, and then we get a triple threat. I don't want it. I don't want this world.
But you might be right.
I hope. I want to put the disclaimer out there. I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but you know.
That's most of us at Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast. I want to be wrong, but Shane O'Mac is coming into the ring and is probably going to get hurt. Oh, look at what happened!
Jeez.
No, I do think they're setting up some sort of shenanigans, which is a shame. We have been wrong. We thought LA Knight was winning. LA Knight came out and was the only one to cut a promo a week ago. And then it changed abruptly, and we went, oh, we've just changed course like this. So it's possible. It is. I think something shady will happen. I agree with you. I do think there might be a Rey Mysterio arc of him being hurt or him not being able to continue, or let me pass this on to you, or something. Now that Dom is wrapped up in this NXT whatever, we don't have that to lean on anymore. So now we're all in on Santos and Rey, I'm assuming. I think there might be some sort of passing of a torch moment. That's the high road. The low road is, like you said, Austin Theory does something stupid, triple threat, SummerSlam.
We shall see. So, weirdly enough, backstage, because Raw was interesting, because we saw Bobby Lashley talking to the Street Profits on Monday Night Raw. And then on SmackDown, we see Bobby Lashley talking to NXT champion Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, and they're just talking it up. I'm just like, on the one hand, a faction with Street Profits, Bobby, Carmelo, and Trick is something I really, really want. But then also the other half of me, because I've said this, I was like, you don't need to put all the black people in one faction. I'm just saying.
That's the Vince McMahon way, right? That's sort of the...
But honestly, yeah.
People of color, you're in this group, and you're people of color, you're in this group. You're different while you're this group. Judgment Day, you're all foreigners. I'll put you with Dom. Like, you know.
Need I remind everyone, too, that we had the faction of the United Nations at one point, which was Sheamus and Wade Barrett and Miro. Well, Rusev, but Miro, now formerly known as Miro, Alberto Del Rio. I'm just like...
I wasn't even watching wrestling heavy at that time, and I remember that. I mean, going all the way back to, you know, Nation of Domination, late 90s, which was sort of used incorrectly for lots of reasons, which we could talk about another time.
I'm intrigued.
I love seeing all the Hanson brothers getting their due and getting paid and getting together. And I think all of them are ridiculous talented. And as much as you're right, and I agree, I don't want to see them all just partitioned into, hey, you're black people, bunk. I think we're better than that. I'm all for the representation. Like, I'm all for the get out there and get me some storylines. You know, get me some stories that sell. Because I'm a huge Street Profits guy. So we'll see. I will see what it is and what they do. You're right, it is a little tropey. I think it's going to be exactly what I think it's going to be, which is, you know, meh. But I hope Triple H is doing something with it, right? As opposed to just, let's get you over there and we'll give you something, we'll throw you in the mid card or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, now if you give me Bobby, the Street Profits, and you want to throw Bianca in there, I actually would be more on board with it.
Shoot, could you imagine imagine? Like that would be.
Yes.
What do you like? You just crush everybody.
That
That'd be wild.
I would see, and what I like is because Triple H does like factions, so it makes sense that we're starting to see more factions on the main roster. I mean, NXT Black and Gold era was nothing but factions. You had like the Undisputed Era, and just you had all these different factions. And I love me some faction on faction warfare. I mean, if that allows us to keep war games at Survivor Series, I'm all for it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And and I remember because I was watching wrestling in the late '90s when factions really kind of got solidified, and how do we do this, and what does it mean? Jumping from faction to faction, some of that stuff was going, and it's gotten far more refined and storylines and whatnot since then. Because I'm old now, but I'm interested in. So Judgment Day is an example. Like you write yourself into a corner, and I've said that 100 times. What's interesting to me is not so much when they start and how they start and what they do, is how do they end? Because you outgrow factions quick. Rhea Ripley outgrew Judgment Day a long time ago. Damian Priest is outgrowing Judgment Day. Finn is kind of stuck in Judgment Day. Dom isn't the same Dom that was in Judgment Day a while ago. Dom has sort of turned into his own thing. So at some point, it's like you gotta break these four apart. And you got to do it cleanly or it gets weird. And you got to do it in a way that's not, some breakup love triangle thing, because that's overplayed. But I digress. I'm looking way too far ahead. I would love to see a faction, but you're right. For the reasons that you mentioned, I hope they do it right. I hope they just represent it right.
Yep. Next, we get our semi-main event for this episode of SmackDown for the NXT North American Championship. You have Dominic Mysterio defending his title versus the fact that those words came out of my mouth just makes me sad and upset. I knew I would say those words eventually. I just didn't think that they were going to be said anytime soon. This match was, it is what. See, as the sole NXT representative here, like, it makes me sad this is how we're defending this title. I think there are better ways if you're going to do a heel as a champion. I don't like the chicken shit heel, especially with a developmental brand championship, as Vince likes to keep saying, but Vince doesn't know what he's doing, because he
No, and that's why I don't say developmental, because they're professionals, they're busting their ass, they're doing great. It's not like it's WCW power plants or any of these other places where you're taking classes and you're working and touring. Like, this is a place where Sean is running a promotion. He's running a part of WWE. So to call it developmental it's not the same as, like I was saying, G League or AAA, AA. Like, they're working.
Honestly, and this is a hot take, and I will defend NXT till I die, but honestly, sometimes the NXT pay-per-views tend to be so much better than the main roster pay-per-views. And I said that in previous reviews and in our podcast episodes too. Like, when WWE and NXT were going at it, I guess, with Night of Champions and then Battleground. Battleground was fucking fantastic. It was so good that even Simon Miller and the What Culture crew made a video about how that pay-per-view outclassed the main roster pay-per-view that was happening the day before.
Because there's less meddling, they're hungrier. Like, there's a whole host of things that we could talk about to put together. And maybe one of these days we just get all of Bi-Conics together to rant and rave about it. This match itself as a match was, a solid match. There were one or two trophy things that kind of got missed. Rhea was late on the clipping the legs of Butch. You can see Butch look back like 3 times, and then finally Ripley goes, "Oh yeah!" and then runs around and connects and gets there. Personally, for me, and this is probably a testament to what is going on, I think the highlight was seeing Pretty Deadly come out and call out the fridge for doing what happened. I love that you're in a wheelchair just because your arm is in a sling.
I know. I was like, you didn't break a leg.
I thought that was funny. I think Pretty Deadly are still fantastic heel tag team. I love watching them. I love seeing them come out. Rhea Ripley at one point gives a chain to Dom, and Dom goes to use it, and then it's taken away just in the nick of time before Pretty Deadly come out. I forgot about that. So there's some good storytelling here. The match itself, solid. It wasn't awful. I'm starting to get, I'll say this, I'm starting to get a little bored with the finger manipulation thing because it happens every single match and no one's worn a cast or anything to sell the fact that they can't use their hands anymore. It's just sort of like, I'm going to do this thing and it hurts you, ha! As opposed to like, I break fingers. What to do? Like, oh, okay.
I mean, I'm a big Pete Dunne fan. I just think they need to allow him to revert back to his NXT UK days because it was more grittier and it was more violent. But main roster tries to even it out, so to speak. But it is.
I was gonna mention that there's the sense of I'm violent, I'm super violent, but it's never as violent as it's almost comical. Where it's sort of big, angry teeth and intense face, and then like pulling your pinky. Like
Well,
it's not.
well, here's the thing. I mean,
Not
yeah. The thing with all that is that, and this is why I miss NXT UK, because British style wrestling is supposed to be like more raw and not as clean and a little rough around the edges, but it's
not flashy.
no.
It's bumps and thuds. Yeah.
It's just, it sucks because, now that a lot of these UK wrestlers are here in the United States, they have to adopt to the American style wrestling, which is more about, sequences and being a little bit cleaner. I wish they let him go back to his NXT UK days where he's just destroying people left and right because he has more moves than what we've seen so far. It's just for some reason they're not letting him do it. The other thing about this too, this is only the second time this has happened, but I can already tell where this potentially might lead. I'm over Rhea always being the one who's going to get Dom the win. And I mean, it makes sense because, heel tactics and things like that. My biggest fear is eventually a babyface is going to get smart, Rhea's going to get banned, and then all of a sudden that's where Dominic is going to win the match on his own cleanly, and I'm just like, what the
That's probably where we're going. As long as, because we were just talking about factions, if Judgment Day is still Judgment Day 6 months from now, I think it does them all a disservice.
For sure.
That's just me. I think there's gotta be a way that someone breaks up something. I think a smart way to use this NXT title would be use this as a wedge to start chipping away at Judgment Day stuff. We've seen cracks. Finn and Damian Moore, Dom and Rhea, not really. But I think there's got to be a way to start chipping away at this. Not jealousy of the title, because that's too easy. But start growing them apart, so then we buy it when they just walk away.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately, you're still your NXT North American Champion, Dominic Mysterio. We get commentary then hyping up next week's SmackDown, which is cool. And then we get into our main event, which is going to be Tribal Chief Bloodline stuff. But before that, when we come back for commercial, they give us a hype reel for WrestleMania 40, which is coming out to you live from Philadelphia this April. God, I can't believe we're already entering... anyways.
July's over.
I know.
July's over.
And we here at Bi-Conics have a lot to figure out.
Oh yeah, we'll be discussing those things too. And then, of course, again, back to the teacher thing. Mike and I being teachers, the summer's the only time we have to breathe. I just finished teaching online classes a few days ago. I have grades in, so I kind of have 3 weeks of summer before I think about the September. So there's a part of me that's like, can I do nothing? Am I allowed to do nothing yet? Oh, okay. I can breathe for a week or two.
For reals. I mean, we're still doing stuff with this, but honestly, I was like, can I just do this more often?
Exactly. That's kind of my point. It's sort of like, can this just kind of do this and not do that? Okay, can we figure this out?
So, yeah, WrestleMania 40.
So WrestleMania 40 is happening. Tickets are on sale in a few weeks, apparently. And I've said this on the podcast a few times, I hate contract signings, sort of spots where let's get out the table and talk. Because the same thing happens every time. We're going to talk. We're going to dislike each other. We're going to sign something. Someone's going to flip a table. Somebody enters. Somebody fights someone. We all leave. It's the same every single time. I have a hard time with the interview shows and Grayson Waller effect going all the way back to when I was a kid. I was always like, why are we doing this thing? I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. this one worked. This is the blueprint to how to do it without it making it sticky, without making it artificial. It was straightforward. There were the subtleties of Jay comes out, gets ready, sits at the table, Solo Sikoa moves the chair to the head of the table, and then we talk about a contract and we sign it and we rip it up. So there's a line or two in here that lead me to my greater conspiracy theory, which you and I have already talked about, where he says, no. Jay rips up the contract and says, no, this is tribal warfare. And Roman sighs into the mic and says, the elders okay with this?
And it was their idea. I was like,
and the moment he said that whole family tree pops in my head.
yep. We want that tree to make an appearance somewhere.
God, and I'll invoke the names of Rikishi and The Rock and anyone else who's there. Like, bring him out. Put him up there.
Bring him out during SummerSlam.
If this was... If I was in charge, if I was there, I would get 5 or 6 beautiful chairs, put those on top of the ramp, and it's The Rock, Rikishi, family members, grandma, if grandma's still alive, put them all up there. Drop money, pay for the guy out there, get him up there to sit there and watch this happen. The pop would be ridiculous. You have all the families there. That would be huge. Because now we can finally end this bloodline stuff.
I mean, I hope after SummerSlam we're done with the bloodline storyline for a little bit. But this was an excellent ending segment for SmackDown this week. And it furthers the storyline. You can start to see that Roman is starting to get worried because the elders agreed it was their idea for this type of match to happen. And so Roman's like, hold up, what do you mean the elders are okay with this? Yeah. And that's crazy to me. My only question is, I can only make assumptions based on what we saw, but they never explicitly said if this was going to be just a match where they're going to destroy each other. Is the title on the line?
So what my takeaway was, and this was the symbolism of the thing, Jay has that comment of like, if I want to hit you with if I want to light you up with a stick, I'm going to hit you with a stick. If I want to grab this chair, I'll hit you with this chair. If it's a steel chair, I'm going to this steel chair. If I want to take that lady's left chocolate and hit you with it, I'll do that, right? Like, there's all those references to it. So Roman takes off the belt, puts the belt on the table. And then there's a moment where he takes off
the lei,
lei. And that's my symbolism, my take was, this is for everything.
Okay.
And that's why he lays that on there and then walks away without it. Like, no, fine, I will not be considered while we do this tribal thing. That's my take, knowing what I know of ritualism in some of these cultures and friends and bits and pieces. When there is a challenge for chiefdom or patriarchy and all that bullshit, there's a challenge for that, both of them become neutral almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of fine. I'm without these things. If you can defeat me, you can take it. It's not like I'm handing it over to you. That's more of a family, father to child thing.
Right. So then, with that being said, we said this about LA Knight winning, and like I wanted to riot, but like that was I definitely will riot if Jay does. Jay has to win this one, in my opinion.
He won't. They're gonna keep Roman there until WrestleMania. We already know.
That's what I'm saying. If you just made Tribal Combat and the title wasn't on the line, like, I'd be okay with Jay winning.
What if it's this? This is another thought that I had. I think you understand. What if there's a DQ, even though it's no holds barred or whatever? There's some kind of DQ for the title, and then the family awards Jay Tribal.
I mean, I guess that would be okay.
And then we split it up. Well, Roman has the title, but the tribal chief is Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And in some way, Roman is out of the bloodline, but he's still the champion. But we see what Jay has done, and we award Jay the heart and merit and morality of our tribe. That I buy, because now, not that I want more bloodline, but now I have a reason to watch. I'm the head of the family. And now we can get away from a little bit of this bloodline. and then Roman can reunite the Shield with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Hell breaks loose in the wrestling world.
I wish, but that's not gonna happen. I mean, yeah. Honestly, this segment was a lot of fun. You made my question. You answered my question. I hope that Jay ends up winning here, or who knows. SummerSlam is one of the big four pay-per-views that always crazy things always tend to happen. Like when Becky Lynch wrestled Bianca with a separated shoulder for like the whole match.
There's got to be some payoff. Like there's got to be something we're coming for.
And the fact that Jay ain't taking nothing because he literally, without any hesitation, like super kicked Solo across the face. I was surprised that Roman stopped Solo from Samoa spiking Jay. I was like, ooh.
That was an interesting twist. I wonder now, finally, it's Roman wants to do it on his own. And I'm tired of the interference. Jay was still, I'm having none of it. You tried to do that to me, I'm going to get you. So we're seeing this, from the streets, Jay and sort of Roman trying to hold on to any honor he has left, which is interesting. This is me. I feel bad for Solo. Solo's stuck. Solo has no identity outside of this bloodline. There's nothing, sadly. So is Solo stuck in, I'm never going to get a push, a singles push, or I'm always going to get wrapped into these tiny feuds here and there, but never, because Solo's great. Solo has not held up a storyline in a long time, or been a part of one, I guess. Not that I know of.
Right. That's my biggest worry for him, too. I mean, granted, they pulled him from NXT to have him be a part of this storyline, but, man, not that he needs to be in NXT because he's already phenomenal as it is, but when this storyline's over, Solo, Jimmy and Jay can go after the tag titles again. Like, that's fine. You have Roman still be champion, but then Solo, you haven't built anything as an out for him yet. Yeah. Like, where does he go? Honestly, well, I mean, he's on SmackDown, so he can't go after the IC title. Gunther versus Solo is a match I want so bad.
Gunther Solo would be nuts.
But honestly, yeah. I don't, and this is a prediction, I don't think Austin Theory is walking out of SummerSlam with his title. So if you want to do Solo versus, I will say at this point, Santos, the two would also be really, really good because they had some baller matches. Yeah, they had some baller matches in NXT.
I'm intrigued, but again, I'm looking at everything. Like Solo's one that I'm like, oh man, you're stuck. And there's always someone that gets stuck in the faction. But like I said, as far as SmackDown as a whole, before we rant and rave about everything else, on a whole, this was great.
This was definitely an improvement for the last 2 weeks.
We didn't have 90 minutes of Bloodline and 30 minutes of trash matches. We didn't have recaps out of nowhere that took up spots for other things.
We didn't have messy finishers.
Messy finishers and like
overbooked people. Yeah.
We didn't have the camera in the wrong place at the wrong time. We had no referee interference cop-out matches. We had no, I bought a ticket, I'm going to sit in the front row tropes. It was straightforward. It was clean. The stories all popped. The crowd was great. Everything worked. Except LA Knight not winning, and we discussed that. And we'll riot another day, but we see.
If he ends up on SummerSlam, I will be happy regardless. That's all I want. Yeah.
I think they got to throw LA Knight something, or else LA Knight's going to start being like, what am I doing? I mean, granted, LA Knight's got the money ticket, and this is, you dream of that stuff from when you're a kid until now. But, like other folks have talked about at WWE and why they've gone to other promotions is kind of where LA Knight is, right? Like, you are a star, you're not being used. Go someplace else where they're gonna use you, and it's no longer seen as a second, like a lower promotion if you go to AEW or someplace else.
So the last thing we have to do is we got to rate it. Minnie is not here, but we are still using the mini scale.
We'll still use the mini scale of 10 minis, something out of 10 minis. I'm used to giving 2, 3s, and 4s. This is right in that 8, high 7, low 8, mid 8, 7, 9, 8, 1, 8, 2, 8, 3. LA Knight winning would have pushed it to 9 for me. I would have been like, that's a 9 out of 10. You did it right. You're pushing the right people. We had a women's match that wasn't cut off. We got Shotzi getting pushed, finally, which makes me happy for various reasons. So yeah, I think we're right in that 8.4, 8.5. I mean, 7, 9 on some scales. I'm that teacher where I could fudge you here, I could fudge you there. Have you worked this hard? Well, maybe this is it. So I'm right in that spot.
I agree with you. I'm going to give it a high 7, a low 8 for this week's SmackDown. Honestly, it was probably better. I think the last 2 weeks of SmackDown have kind of been a little bit all over the place as they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do in terms of not only building to SummerSlam, but how do you make SmackDown its own thing.
See, and I wonder if that's made us biased, as we've seen such crap. This one to everyone else is like a 5, and we're like, it's an 8! It's perfect!
Well, I think our reasoning of why we rated it so high is fine. Like, the opening matches, the matches were really solid through and through. Even though I had some nitpicks with a couple of them, they were all great. We are developing storylines that seem to be going to be extending past SummerSlam. I love that we got a women's match more than 66 seconds.
Hey!
And we actually have, like, multiple women's stuff happening on one show. Take notes, AEW, come on.
Tony Khan. Not that Vince is better than that.
And you know what? The main event did not overstay its welcome with the further developing what's happening with the bloodline at SummerSlam. So ultimately, this was a really, really good episode. And now I say that, and then watch next week's going to be all.
I'll say this. This was a Triple H night. Maybe the last few weeks have been a Vince McMahon night. Right? Now we can kind of tell, like, hey, this one was in charge. You know, Paul Levesque was in charge of this one. Next week, we'll see who's in charge of that one.
It's weird because across Raw and SmackDown, I've actually been thoroughly, as many problems as I'm having with a lot of the stuff. I'm like, you know what? I don't know if it's just me being pessimistic and just like settle for mediocrity, but I was like, honestly, I think this wasn't as bad of a SmackDown. And I can say that because the last 2 weeks have not been great.
Well, before we get on another tangent, because I feel it coming on, I am John, the professor here for the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, and I was joined this week by Mikey, who runs this whole show on the Vibe Tribe. Check out everything we do here. We have D&D play. We have a lot of wrestling reviews and podcasts and things going on. We're on all the different socials, not socials. We're doing all those things. Well, we're hustling those. We're trying to get these things out regularly, but, you know, life happens, and sometimes it takes longer to render than it should. And sometimes we live a life, and we're not doing this as timely as we can. Thank you for your support. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and please share. I feel like that's the most important thing. Just send it to someone who's a nerd and might like our conversation. That really helps us out as well. Mikey, anything you want to say?
I think you pretty much said everything, so that is going to be it for us here at for the SmackDown review this week. Make sure to tune in next week where hopefully we continue to talk about how great SmackDown is, but from week to week we never know what's going to happen. But until next time, from all of us here at the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, adios and sayonara.